and welcome back. So we're going to continue reading on the third day in the rebirth story. The person is sitting in the square. He has the book in front of him. He's about to go on this journey through knowledge. He's also having a notebook and then going through some of his own past and life, and then reflecting and just warming up and starting this process about seeing things in a bigger perspective, and also in some sense making some more space for new learning, and then mentally preparing for that he will change, and the way he is looking at the world and experiencing and interpreting the world will gradually start changing. So there's a bit of a preparation for before this starts. So the perspectives that they took me by surprise, as I had started to reconsider the coherence of history in a different sense. Or maybe it was just a time scale that was being lifted or seen from a much higher above. It felt more like seeing time in a 3,000-year line, but only as a short line, and then seeing the 10,000-year period from farmers and settlers, and then the 5 or 6 million year frame of our evolving nature from our ancestor apes into our current form. These thoughts were disorienting at first, but then gradually became more of a habit, to evaluate in brief moments, to understand new aspects of how we live and where we come from, both as nature and as a culture. There were sudden flashes of remembering something from a book or a travel or a conversation with a good friend that was suddenly seen in these larger time frames and gave them new meaning and often simplicity. The things that we do or that are represented in arts or movies or architecture might have a much simpler explanation than what I had been aware of before. But this only added to the memories or to the experience. The most lasting perspective from that day was the 3,000 years as a frame of understanding. But then I changed back to the view of the square and tried to remember my favorite memories from early travels and the recent travels too, especially the conversations. The people I had met who for different reasons had made a deep impression on the thoughts or the emotions, and some of them coming back in the thoughts for years, gradually revealing more and new details or nuances of what the conversations had meant, and the deeper wisdom of those with longer lives behind them, who would extract a different kind of reflection from their past, sometimes more elusive or sometimes more poetic, but often harder to grasp as a younger person. But it stayed there as hidden treasures or helpers. As life unfolded and the years started to also feel my own life and experience with time. I stopped writing and smiled to the waiter. He came over and we had a little chat, and then I packed my things and looked up at the blue skies. It was becoming another warm day, and the early rain had already dried up. The cafe was more full of people now, people with warm smiles and engaged in chats with their friends over a coffee or late breakfast. I sat for a few moments longer to feel the atmosphere. A lively and happy group of people around me, and a blooming tree on the side. A little scene of good life before the rest of the day would begin. So this was the second part of the third day. Just briefly commenting on when he stops writing and smiling. This is a part of just gently indicating that the person is sitting and writing, and like these thoughts that we are reading are in the person's mind as he is reflecting and kind of actively working on it to get some distance or clarity or new perspectives. And then also a smile to the waiter is this. It's just the joy of human contact and kind of a nice connection with the person, which is kind of, it's always, no, yeah, it just kind of wakes you up a little bit and fill you with some happiness or some joy in life often. So, and it also brings him back to seeing a bit around him and then getting the balance. Maybe he's into deep thoughts, big thoughts, but then also he has a nice environment around him. Okay, so we're going to continue a little bit longer. On the fourth day, it had become more of a pleasant routine in the mornings, coming back to the same table, seeing the sun touching the fountain, the church front, widening the glowing light over cobblestones in the square, and the soothing taste of the espresso. While the notebook kept growing with reflections on my life and earlier adventures, and from the world and life that I had experienced so far. There was a recurring feeling of discovery or surprise, of all the forgotten memories that would come back to life with only a pen and a little notebook. And so many of them seemed new and experienced for the first time, as revisiting old neighborhoods or childhood vacation places, where the old memories only partly would fit into the scene or landscape that was in front of you, like an old photography of a street that had changed by time into a different world. I tried to focus on the points of my earlier life that had had a deeper meaning, or that reminded me of change or deep learning about life or about people. Often that would be the same memories, that was also especially tender or illuminated by brightness inside. Those memories I could revisit or relive hundreds of times, as they only grew stronger over the years and with time. It was more like time only had made them stand out more clearly, as the important parts of life, as the sea of normal days, however joyful and valuable, only grew bigger and bigger. The bigger mass of lived life, the more tender or shining, those truly deep and important memories from early days. But then I looked out at little square again, and wondered if also these reflections would be part of my younger life one day. I was about to embark on a new journey that might change the context of my thinking and perspectives yet again. But this was what I wanted and had to do. And I found comfort in that the memories most dear in me seemed to remain strong through the changes in life. And there would be new or still the same treasured memories in me afterwards. So this is the fourth day, and then some of the things that are important here is just being aware of that going on this discovery journey will change the person, and then the person has to, as we said before, like it's a part of the preparation that you know that maybe life will not be the same, but then he's reminded that the best parts of his past are still kind of stable, and he keeps the best memories, the most tender memories of especially people, and that will most likely be there afterwards as well, or maybe even better or richer or bigger. So it's part of coming closer to kind of this point where the real journey begins. So this is the fourth day, and then it's also like looking at the square, which is this little rhythm, which is meant to be an example, but also maybe a helper, that this is one way of doing it if you want to start on a journey like this one day. So we're going to stop it there and continue next time with the fifth day in the first chapter. So hope some of this was interesting, and thank you for watching, and have a great day.